In this video, we are going to take a look at the Bureau of Labor Statistics and use their website to find the latest database for the CPI. So if we come over here and we come up to our trusted data tool again, let's go ahead and just double click on that. And that's going to take us to the database tables and calculators page. So if we scroll down just a tiny bit, we'll see that all 5 of these first entries have to do with the CPI. Let's go ahead and select this first one, which is the current series, okay? Don't worry about the chained one right now, so let's just stick with the current series. If we just come over and simply take the top picks, we can tell the computer exactly what we want to look at. And you'll notice that we have 2 choices for all items. We can look at the goods and services in 1982 to 1984 dollars as our base year, and that's what we want to do. We want to select that one, and then let's come down here and go ahead and pick on the San Francisco area, and you'll see that this is automatically in 82 to 84 dollars as being the base year. So now we're just going to scroll down, and we're going to tell the database to retrieve this data that we've asked for. Okay, before we even try to decipher the 2 data tables that we have, we're going to make it a little bit more complicated or a little bit easier, and we're going to tell the computer to include the graph, okay? So after we include the graph, we're going to look at that, and then I'm going to come over here to this more formatting options, and we're going to look at it a third way. Okay, so let's ask the computer to include the graphs for the data. Okay, visually this makes it much easier to understand of what's happening with inflation since 2005. So if we scroll down, we'll see that, remember, these numbers are all in 1982 to 1984 dollars. So that's saying that if we set the price equal to 100 in 1982 to 1984, currently this is what the CPI is. So remember that it's an index and it goes up 1 point is 1%. So if in 1984 we set the CPI equal to 100 and then we had a few years later that the CPI was equal to 105, that means that there's been 5% inflation from that base year. So there are some good things about using the CPI as an index, and there are some bad things. And if we're looking from one year to the next, it's really easy to use the CPI deflator and be able to compare years that are close to each other and see how much inflation there was. However, in years that are spread far apart, it becomes a little bit more difficult, and we cover that in our learning on the overall CPI. So this is just the data tablets that I want to show you. Down here, this is the one for California, specifically the San Francisco area. So as raw data, this doesn't tell us as much as we could easily have the computer figure out for us if we do one more thing. So let's come back up here and go up to more formatting options. If we click more formatting options, down here, let's have it tell us the 12-month percentage change. Okay, if we have it tell us the 12-month percentage change, then we need to decide, do we want it to do all time periods or do we want it to do just one time period? And let's just have it do one time period and the annual data. Okay, so and we can adjust this to go back further than the standard of 10 years. So let's say that we want to go back for the last 20 years. All right, so now we're going to tell the computer to go ahead and retrieve the data that we've requested. And now we're going back all the way back to 1995, and this right here is 2015. So the last 20 years, and I told the computer that I just want to look at what's going on with the annual data. So it's just giving me the annual data, and I told it that I also want a 12-month percentage change, okay? So down here, it's giving me the 12-month percentage change. So basically, this is telling me, and very easy to find, what's going on with inflation. Well, we can see that these last few years, we've had a little bit of inflation. In 2011, we had 3.2% inflation. The numbers that just came out for inflation are 1.7 as of last month. So 1.7, 1.6 we're saying for last year, 1.7 from this May to last May. So this data is the latest data that we have, but this is a really great, easy look at what's been going on with inflation over the last 20 years. And then up here on the graph, it tells us the same thing in a visual representation. So this is for the United States. Now let's see what's been going on with inflation for California. So let's scroll down and we'll see how it's annually adjusted. And in California this last year, the national average was 1.6 and we had 2.8. So our inflation in the Bay Area is quite a bit higher than the national average. So the trends stay relatively the same, though. In 2009, the numbers were extremely low. We didn't have deflation in 2009, but we only had 0.7 or 7/10 of a percentage of inflation, where on the national average, we actually had a little tiny bit of deflation there. Okay, so this website is obviously very useful for finding all sorts of different price information. And if you are trying to ask for a adjustment to your wage, you certainly want to bring stuff like this in to your employer and show them that there has been a lot of inflation in this area recently, and you need to be compensated for that.